So the new Epic Raid is out for Desert Perpetual, and there is a completely brand new counter for the final boss, if you did not already know that. I do plan on making videos for all of the encounters because the three kind of pre-boss encounters are still quite a bit different in the Epic version, but I wanted to go ahead and start by making a video and a guide for the final boss since it is, again, brand new and completely different from any of the encounters in the basic or normal Desert Perpetual raid. So we're going to go over the epic Koregos fight in this video. Now before we begin, just note that a lot of this is random in terms of the order of things, or not necessarily random, but basically is dependent on the order of the encounters that you did leading into the boss, but everything that's going to end up happening will be the same. It just may happen in different orders in terms of certain mechanics, and I'll try to point those out when those happen. But basically, when you start the encounter, you first come in here, your very first round, you are going to need to figure out what color chronons you need in order to dunk in this hoop here in the center. I'm going to go back and pause really quick, but as you can see over here, we have one of those, we have the hoop and we have the little like sand dune, sand holder thing that we have in other encounters as well, like the Wyvern encounter, for example, or the normal final boss Desert Perpetual encounter. And basically our goal is to be filling this up with chronons. But in order to figure out what color chronons we need, we basically, at least for the first round, need to do a little special mechanic. So before we do any of that, every single round that happens, all 6 people on your team are going to get banishment eventually. It's going to pick 2 people randomly to start. So as you see here, I was one of the first people. It'll say Koregos excludes your name from its reality when this happens. Now there's going to be 2 different ways to get rid of your banishment. Either A, you're going to go into one of these triangular portals, or kind of triangular like wall looking things that you'll see around the room, which we'll see here in a second because that's what I'm going to do. Or B, there will be oracles here in the center, kind of where I was looking before, that you can just pick up to get rid of your banishment. Now the thing is there's only going to be 4 of those oracles, and again, like I said, all 6 of you are going to get banishment, so basically 2 people are going to need to get rid of their banishment a different way, which again can be done by going through one of the portals. So the way we did this, at least, is basically whoever gets picked first, which is whoever the first 2 people are going to be the 2 that end up going through the portals. So as we go ahead and play through here, you'll notice here now, like, this portal looks very like clear, I guess is the best way I can put it, right? And if you look off to the left when I'm right, like this one has this kind of like checkerboarded pattern. This basically means that that portal is currently closed, right? You can't go through that portal. So what we were doing, again, for this first round is basically finding whichever of the 3 portals is open to start, which again will be random. And again, you can see the difference here on this one. It's very clear. Doesn't have like the little like checkerboarded Vex looking stuff in front of it, so that's how you know you can go through it. Also note that you're going to want to wait for your teammate to go through because it can lock out. Basically, once you've gone through, after a few seconds, there'll be a Cyclops that spawns both outside and inside this room, and you're going to need to kill both of those in order to get out. So you just want to have both people go in so they don't have to like wait to go in or anything like that. So again, as you'll see here, basically you can make your way to the other side of the room, kill the Cyclops that's here. Again, make sure that the 4 people that are outside also kill the Cyclops. That's going to be kind of where you just went in, and then you'll be able to run out and back into the main room. And you'll also notice if we go back again a bit here, as soon as we go through the portal, my banishment is gone. You'll also notice that as soon as we go through the portal, it picks 2 new people to exclude from its reality. So basically, as soon as your team, you get 2 people banished, as soon as those 2 people lose their banishment, whether they go through the portal or use the oracles in middle, it's then going to pick the next 2 people. So as you can see, even while we're running through here, it picked our last 2 people because our 3rd and 4th people had used the oracles in middle to get rid of their banishment, and then 5th and 6th people can also use the oracles in middle to get rid of their banishment. And then basically at that point, you are good. You have gotten rid of all your banishment. And again, this is going to happen every single round. There's like 5 rounds. I guess basically every single round other than the final stand, you are going to have this banishment kind of mechanic happen that you need to do before anything else. So now once you've gotten rid of the banishments, the next thing you're going to want to do is, again, kind of what I was talking about earlier, where we are going to need to figure out what color chronons we're going to need kind of for the main mechanics. So what you're going to want to look for is you're going to look for this crystal right here. There's going to be like a crystal, like it's in these, there's 3 like tree looking structures around the center. You'll see one of them has a crystal in it, and you'll see that crystal pointing to, you'll see this like bluish whitish line pointing to one of the portals. That is how you know which portal you're going to want to go into. Now, again, for this first round, you can technically do it with one person, but we were just kind of doing it. Basically, two people are going to be the quote-unquote mechanics people. Again, for this first round, you're not actually technically doing any of the mechanics. What we're going to do is we're going to figure out which portal we need to go into. Again, looking for the crystal, looking for the line that's pointing to the portal. You're going to send, one or probably just two people in there just to make it a little bit safer, a little bit easier. And all you got to do for this first round is get the buff for the room. I would recommend killing the Cyclops first whenever you come into these rooms, especially this room because the Cyclops kind of in the way. Technically, the first round you actually don't want to kill that imp, but we'll talk about the imps later. But all you need to do is find the plate in the room, get on the plate. That's going to give you one of the temporality buffs. Again, here we can see I have constant temporality depending on which room you end up doing first, which again is dependent on the order you did the bosses in during the actual raid, the first 3 encounters. You'll be in a different room, you'll get a different temporality. Doesn't really matter, again, as long as you went to the room that had the crystal with the line and the line pointing to the portal, and as long as you get the temporality from the plate in that room, that's all you need to do. Once you have the temporality, again, make sure you kill the Cyclops if you haven't already. Make sure the people outside kill the Cyclops if they haven't already, and you'll be able to run out the portal to get back into the main room. So super simple. You go into the room, you get the temporality, you come out. Again, needing to kill the Cyclopses in order to do so. Once you are out here, then you're going to look back at that crystal that I was talking about previously, which should be right next to you because the crystal's always going to be nearest the room that you're going into. That's like how the crystal with the line is always going to be the one that's like you're going into, and then when you come out, you're going to be coming out the same portal. And we're going to back up just a second because this is a little bit of a funky part here, but you're basically trying to get line of sight on the crystal, and I'll try to pause it where you can see this. But you see it says destroy temporal locus when I'm looking at it, and again from a specific kind of angle. This is very finicky. I would recommend don't try to be below it and look up towards it. You see how I'm kind of at the same height as it, or maybe even a slightly above the height of it. That seems to be the best way to really make sure you actually get this prompt to show up. And again, you need to kind of be looking directly kind of at the center of the crystal, right, just right kind of where this I don't know, center is. Again, just kind of move around, shift a little bit. Again, so being up a high, kind of where the where I am now on these higher ledges is helpful. Don't be below it. You'll never get this prompt to show up. But all you got to do, find a spot where you can stand to look at the crystal and get this prompt to show up, and then you just hit interact. For me, it's X, whatever, if you're playing on a different type of controller or MNK, obviously it's going to be whatever it is for you. You'll just press the button, and then you're going to basically smash the crystal, just like that. Now again, this first round, that's it. At this point, everybody stay alive. You don't got to do anything else. Stay alive. Get into a spot where you're alive. What you do need to do, though, is you're going to see the little lanterns like are in the other encounters for Epic around the room, and we need to be watching for those as they're going to show a color. And here in a second, hopefully I actually look at it visually. So I think somebody else made the call out on that last clip, so I went and found a different clip. But as you can see right here, basically after you break the crystals, same exact idea. You stay in cover, and as you can see, if you look over here in a second, and you can't break that crystal. Right here, you can see that there's a red, red color in this little lantern. And there's going to be 3 of them around the room. They'll all be the same color, whichever one it is. So all of them will be red. So you can look at any of the lanterns there. Again, you can see a much better angle here. You can see that this is red. You just need to keep track of that color. Basically, that's going to tell us what chronon we need for the next round. Now do note that basically once you break, or kind of half break that crystal, the world line stability on the left side of your screen is going to go down very quickly, and when that ends, you're going to basically quote unquote die, but not die. It's kind of like a teleport or a time travel thing. You're going to get this world lines fracture around you message, and you're going to come back up to the raid flag. This is going to happen multiple times during the encounter, where you're going to basically reset the encounter, except with more knowledge, maybe some damage on the boss, etc., etc., etc. So each time you come up here throughout the round, you're going to be moving to the next step. So again, that first step was literally all we were doing was figuring out the color of the chronon so that we can actually move forward. Now, this next round, we're basically going to do the exact same thing. Again, as I said at the beginning, every single round here, every single time we go back up to the raid flag, or if you wipe and reset, every single round, you're going to need to get rid of your banishments again. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Now, what's really cool about the banishment is on a given round, until you wipe, whoever the first two people were on that, given attempt of clear will always be the first two people. So like we were the first two people the first time when we were figuring out the chronon color, we're the first two people again now this round as well, which is it's really cool in terms of like just like not like lore, but just how the encounter works in terms of like time travel. It's like you're kind of going back to the start, but the encounter remembers like exactly how it worked and what you're doing and all that. Other really cool thing is you actually end up going to the same room, like the first portal that opens is actually the same every single time as well in a given attempt. Again, if you wipe, everything resets, the orders can change and all that. But in a given attempt, throughout the run, it's going to be the same every time. Now, what's really important here, right, is these outer lanterns. So basically whatever color you figured out on that first round. Again, that first round, you weren't really doing anything other than figuring out the color. Whatever color you figured out, you're going to need somebody, does not matter, it could be anybody on the team, you're going to need somebody to walk up to one of these outer lanterns, which are going to be kind of all on the outer ledges, kind of in between the portals, and they're just going to need to walk up to it and align to it, which is literally just like interact. You'll see like a little align message, that's all they got to do. That's that simple. If it's right, you do this one. If it was red or blue, you do one of the, whichever the other ones are on the other two sides. That's all you gotta do. You just gotta remember to do that. You can basically do that almost instantaneously when the encounter starts. You can't do it like the very first second, but a few seconds into the encounter, you'll be able to do that, and then you don't gotta worry about it at all for the rest of the round. Then it's aligned, you're good to go. But make sure you remember to do that. Very important. Now, next step is, again, once you get rid of all the banishments, just like last time, you're going to find the room with the crystal that has the line pointing to the portal. And you're going to go in that room. So it's actually going to be the same room that you did kind of the pre-phase, the first phase in, no matter what, which is cool again. But this time we're actually going to do the mechanics that are in here. So, again, we're going to go into the portal, just like last time. Make sure you wait for your teammate. Now you'll see I actually went up to this. I think it was actually blue on this run. I went up to this just to make sure we had it aligned. If it's already aligned, it will say locked. You can't like align twice, but that was the blue one, and we had it aligned already, so we're good. So now, again, we're going to go in here, and this time, again, same kind of beginning is going to be killing the Cyclops and killing... This time we need to make sure we kill the Imp. So I said, like, the first round, maybe don't even kill the Imp, because what happens is when you kill the Imp, it's going to spawn a Wyvern in the middle with the other 4 people. And again, the first round you don't really need that Wyvern, so it's just an extra enemy to throw in there, but it's not a huge deal if they get it. Just call it out. But when you kill the Imp, call out to the team you've killed the Imp, so the other 4 people know that there's going to be a Wyvern spawning in middle. What will happen with that Wyvern is when they kill it, it's going to drop 4 Chronons, all of the color that you align to. So that's why it's very important that you align first and that you align to the correct color, because it's going to be all 4 of that color. So it should be blue in this case, because we had blue for this round. Again, the footage I showed was not correct because I didn't get a good look at it, but it's fine. It'll be blue. And then all they're going to do, pick up those Chronons and then jump through the hoop that I kind of showed at the start of the start of this footage. And then there's going to be the little diamond that spawns underneath the, where the sand holder is, just like in Wyvern, just like in normal final boss. You shoot that, and that's going to allow the team in here to do the mechanics that they need to do, which we will talk about here in a second. Basically, in here, you just gotta wait. You gotta wait until they do that. And again, outside it is 4 Chronons. It's not 6 like the other encounters are. It's just 4. The Wyvern will spawn 4. Each person grabs 1, jumps through the hoop. Technically, someone can do more than 1, but if you have 4 people out there, you might as well just have them do 1 each. So again, in here, you're literally just waiting. You can see the Chronons flowing through the hourglass. They're getting them dunked in. In here, you're just literally waiting to stay alive, kill stuff, do whatever, until you get this message where the burden of time seeps through reality and the memory of a failed experiment revives itself. Once you get that message, you can go ahead and start the mechanics in the room, which again, there's 3 different rooms. This is the Hydra room. For this mechanic, you're going to need to have, again, 2 people. One person is going to go ahead and get on this plate to get their temporality, and then they're going to basically do the Hydra mechanic of being in the flashlight to, and rotating with the flashlight with the buff. And then all they're going to need to do at that point is you're going to see the portals. You're basically doing the Hobgoblin mechanic of looking at the portals and calling out which ones are quote-unquote good or bad. Basically, 2 of them are going to be blue and like not angry, and 1 of them is going to be red, like this one here in the far distance, that is like, like angry or quote unquote bad. What you want to do is you want to call out the two good ones, the two blue ones, which I was kind of just doing. Like I'm sure there's more efficient ways to do this. I was literally just kind of doing it based off of where I was. So I was like, the one I'm on is good and the one to my left is good, or I'd say like, the one furthest away from me over here is bad. Or I think I was even like shooting at it to say like this one's bad, so that we would know which two were good for me. And basically, your teammate that does not have the buff then needs to figure out which one that, because they're going to see the three portals as well, and they're going to see two good and one bad. But one of the good ones, one of the blue ones, is going to be the same for them, right? So like this one that's bad for me, one of their two good ones will be this one, but one of the two ones that I have that is good will also be good for them. So TLDR, I know it's a lot of words. If you've done Koregos normal final boss, it is the same idea as that with the oracles, right? Where there's like, left plate person can see two oracles, right plate person can see two oracles, one of them overlaps, that's the same. It's like literally the exact same idea. And it even uses the oracles. You can actually see an oracle here above this portal. There will be an oracle above each portal. And basically you use the portals to determine which oracle needs to be like activated. And again, the other person is going to do that. As soon as they've activated the correct oracle, then you'll notice here, I turn, and you can shoot the flashlight to break the shield, just like in Hydra, and then you can kill the Hydra itself. And again, both people can go ahead and kill this Hydra. Once the Hydra is dead, you'll notice that we get the undoing of Apoptes. Basically, we killed Apoptes, because that's, the mini version of Apoptes, a mini encounter, that was it. But that's it. That's literally the entire Hydra encounter. Now, really importantly, I am the one with constant temporality, right? So we're going to leave the room. Again, make sure that if you haven't already, which you should have, kill the Cyclops, otherwise this gate will be closed. Also, make sure the people outside have killed the Cyclops, otherwise this gate will be closed. You can't go through. But assuming both Cyclopses are dead, you'll be able to get through. And then, again, you're going to do the same thing like before with the temporality, where you look at the crystal, you'll see this destroy temporal locus, you'll be able to crush it. Now, the difference on this round is anybody on your team, basically any of the other 5 people at this point, will be able to shoot kind of the inner part of the crystal and like completely shatter it, because this time we're actually going to be doing damage. So as soon as we do that, as soon as I break the outer crystal and somebody shoots the inner crystal, the boss in the middle is going to be damageable. Do note that your damage amount of time is based on the world line stability timer here. So like the faster you get out here, basically the more time you have to do damage. So like we're at like half, so that's not bad. It could be better, could be worse. But basically boss will be damageable immediately. So you want to go ahead and come to the center and start doing damage. Now keep in mind that there are kind of mechanics here during the damage phase. I'm not positive on the order of the mechanics. This probably also has to do with the again, what order you did encounters in type thing. But basically, one of the rounds is going to have the Hobgoblin, like variable elimination mechanic, right? Where if you don't break line of sight in 10 seconds, you die. So what we were kind of trying to do whenever we had that one is we'd place one well on like kind of just in the middle somewhere, because like you also have the like arc lasers just like in normal Koregos, all over the place. So like one well somewhere, people could use that for cover. Once we figured out where the variable elimination was coming from, then we could go ahead and use a second well kind of on the other side of the boss to use the boss itself as cover from the variable elimination, and that seemed to work pretty well. So that's pretty much just it. Again, do as much damage as you can. You can literally use all your supers, use all, any ammo is totally fine, because again, after this, when the world line stability ends, you are going to have another raid flag. Now, you'll notice here two things here near the end of the phase. First thing is, again, when the phase is about to end, in the last like kind of 20% or so, if you look at one of the lanterns, any of them, again, they'll all be the same color, you'll be able to see the color for the next round, which is really helpful, right? You can see this is red, so now if I type, say it out loud, type it in chat, remember it. Basically, the next round, you're going to need red chronons. So, we'll go over that when we get to this next round, but really helpful to do this. If you don't do this, then you're going to need to do what we did at the beginning, where you do like kind of the quote-unquote fake phase thing, where, you got to figure out the color for the first round and then go back to the raid flag again and do everything. Preferably, you see this color before the damage phase ends. Now, the second thing is the floor will go away at the end of damage phase, which is honestly okay, as long as you don't Phoenix dive. Now, the reason you'll see here, this is a little extra meme. I don't know what I got hit by, I'm not going to lie, so I tried to Phoenix dive to heal, and again, you get teleported right as the damage phase ends, but if you Phoenix dive or slam down, you may hit the death wall before you actually get teleported. So unfortunate death there. More of a, see the funny, haha, include that in the video. But just to keep in mind, you'll see the next DPS phase, I kind of just run the heck away from the center. But just keep in mind that the floor does go away there kind of at the end of the phase. But anyways, again, we're back to the raid flag, but you'll see, again, we've done this damage. Like, this damage that we did is on the boss. It's staying on the boss. We don't got to worry about, like, we've done like a third-ish or quarter maybe of his health, and now it resets. You'll also notice that we still have the undoing of Apoptes here, which is actually really important. But A, again, keep in mind that we have red as our color. That we'll kind of go over that in a second. And B, again, now when you go ahead and you can take as much time as you want. Like, you can sit up at this raid flag and talk and do whatever as long as you want. Like, the counter does not start until you go down. But what is going to happen is you'll notice that the 3 bosses are in middle here at the start. And since you have the undoing of Apoptes, anybody that has this buff, so anybody that was in the room when it died, will be able to kill Apoptes in the center. Which will have, I will not be doing that. I think my teammate Thunder crashes them. But basically that person is going to then get the corresponding alignment buff, right? So then you'll notice here, again, this is technically round 2, because like I'd consider that first round that we did like round 0 to figure out the colors. This is kind of round 2, even though it's the 3rd round. You'll notice this time that there's 2 crystals, right? And really helpful thing that actually I don't think we actually knew at this time, but I've kind of put together while like rewatching our run and thinking about things. You'll see again, this crystal is pointing to this portal, the far one, which means that's going to be the one we do this round. That also means that the crystal to my right is the one that needs to be broken. Technically, also, these crystals don't move. Like this, if you remember, like we went into this portal that's kind of like behind me and to the right a little bit the first round, and this crystal corresponds to that room, which is the Hydra room and always will be the Hydra room. So like each room is always the same mini boss, if that makes sense. But anyways, basically my teammate's going to be able to eventually come over here, look at this crystal, shatter the outside, and then we can shoot the inside. And we can do that at the very start of the round. And I'd recommend doing that just because if you like overwrite your temporality at any point in terms of getting like new temporalities, that can throw things off. So I'd recommend just getting rid of the crystal that you can on these later rounds. Again, all you gotta do, come over, look at it, somebody shoots it, then that one's done. Again, also, don't forget, on the second round, we saw that the color was red before the damage phase ended. So we want to make sure we align to one of the canisters on the outside that is red. Just like last time, that will make it so that when we spawn the Wyvern in middle, that the Chronons that spawn are red. Also, again, note that the same 2 people, again, since it's the start of a round, we get banished, but do note that the same 2 people are the first 2 people to get banished again, myself, again, being one of those 2, so every single time, that will be the first, I will be the first 2. But we'll go ahead and skip ahead, because again, this is all the same. Get your good. You get banished. First 2 go through a portal, kill Cyclops, run out. Other 4 all use the crystal or all use the oracles in middle. It's all the same. It's all the same. So again, once you get rid of all the banishment, and again, make sure you break that first crystal. So we can kind of skip here a little bit just to make sure. There it goes. There now that one got broken. So now we got rid of that one. Again, we can continue with the actual round. So again, just like the first round, back away a little bit. You're looking for the portal that has the line pointing to it. Again, the crystal that isn't broken basically at this point with the line pointing right to it. That's going to be the next portal we go into. And again, now this one is the Hobgoblin portal. So the Hobgoblin does have the variable elimination coming from the boss itself. So you can use this kind of wall right in front of us here in kind of the left side of the room as cover, kind of breaking line of sight in and out. But again, you want to kind of push to the back, kill the imp so that will spawn the Wyvern for your middle team. And then if there is a Cyclops, you can go ahead and kill it. I think the reason that there wasn't a Cyclops in here is that we had actually already gone to this room for getting rid of our banishment in the first place. So like I guess it just doesn't spawn a second Cyclops because we already had been in this room. That I'm not 1000% sure on, but if there's a Cyclops here, kill it. If there's not, then you're good. But kill the imp, call out that you killed it, so that your team in the middle can start doing again the exact same thing. Kill Wyvern, drops Chronons, pick up the Chronons, jump through the hoop, shoot the diamond. Until that happens, again, I would recommend just kind of coming to where I am right now by this wall. Just keep in mind, like if the boss really peeks over, you might want to really hug the wall a little bit. Just keep an eye on your timer if if you start getting that variable elimination. But literally just sit here and kill ads. That's all you got to do until the mechanic starts. Again, you'll start seeing that the Chronons start flowing once the team is able to kill that Wyvern, pick up the correct Chronons and such. But again, you're just chilling until we get that same message as last time. Now you'll notice that here there will be like three little like eyeballs. They're not super. They have like little tiny lights coming out of it, like this one right here, right? The person that has the buff, which also I should have mentioned, make sure that somebody like just to the left over here is going to be the plate for this room, right? And make sure that the person that grabs that buff is the person that already has temporality. So you want to make sure that one person here does not have temporality so that they're able to actually shoot these little eyeballs that are here. The other person, they step on the plate, they're going to be able to see which of these are glowing. So it's really really simple. They can grab the plate whenever they can go up on the plate. You know, as we're killing the imp. There's no timer to the temporalities you may have noticed, and you'll notice, you know, as I get some too. So you can get it, you know, that person can get it early. Make sure the other person does not get the temporality, so they're actually able to shoot these. Otherwise, they can't. If for whatever reason you both have temporality, this did happen, I think, on one or two of our attempts. You can have a third person from outside just come in to come shoot these. Again, very very easy mechanic, so it's not a huge deal if that happens. But obviously, that's going to make you lose time on the world line stability, make you lose damage phase time. So preferably make sure one person does not have a temporality buff. But anyways, basically the person with the temporality will call out which of these three is glowing, and then the other person shoots it. That simple. So that one was going, I think that was left, right, and then middle. Boom. Shoot all three, boss is damageable. Now again, don't get wrecked like I did. I used my will to make sure I live. But as soon as all three are shot, you can kill the hobgoblin. Again, you'll see we have undoing of Agrios now, and just like before, you can leave the portal, and you're good to go. Now, again, same thing as last time. When you come out, you're going to need to have the person with the temporality break the outside of the crystal, and then anybody else without temporality can shoot the inside of the crystal to start our damage phase. So this time I don't have temporality, so I'm not going to be able to see like the message that you know, allows me to break the outside, but I can shoot the inside once you know, once it's been broken. Somebody else was super fast, but once you do that, again, damage phase starts. Same thing as last time. Now you will get a different mechanic for the damage phase this time. You'll notice we don't have the Hobgoblin Laser Beam, we have the Diastole from Wyvern. So this time, you know, just try to jump on 4, or, you know, just don't care and get suspended and keep shooting anyway. Doesn't really matter. But again, same thing as last time. You want to use, you know, burst damage is really good. You'll notice me using Parasite and Mint because these damage phases are pretty short. And again, you don't really care about ammo. You know, make sure you use your supers because again, you're going to get another raid flag. Does not matter. Now you'll notice again, I leave this time so I don't get killed when the floor goes away. Now I don't know if I got a chance to see. I think it was red. Yeah, it was red again. I don't even know if I saw it. But you can see like here, like just off the start. I didn't take like a really good look at it, but you can definitely see that it's red. Maybe at some point I looked, you know, like that there on the left. So again, next round will be red once again, and we can skip ahead. So again, just let's take a quick kind of TLDR of what we've learned so far. Round 0 is, you know, figuring out the color of the chronon. That's all you're really doing. Make sure, you know, go into the correct room that's being pointed to. You're not actually doing the mechanics. You just grab the buff, come out, hit the crystal, so that basically you can start faster, and then boom. Then round 1, you do everything the same, except you actually do the mechanics. Make sure that you align to the color that you figured out, and then damage phase. Check the chronon color on the lanterns at the end of damage phase, so you know for round 2. Round 2 is exactly the same. Just make sure you shatter the first crystal kind of at the start of it, and then round 2 is exactly the same. Again, the only difference being which mini boss you're doing. Now round 3, again, is going to be exactly the same, at least until damage phase. Damage phase will be completely different, which we'll get to when we get to damage phase. But round 3 is going to be exactly the same as round 1 and 2. So we plant the raid flag, and I think we sit here and talk about things for a while, because again, this is our kind of first clear and, you know, talking to people, you know, what's going to be happening. But we'll skip ahead, and then we'll talk about round 3. All right, so the first thing you'll notice for round 3 is that we have 2 undoings now, right? We have undoing of Popti and undoing of Agriagos, because again, I was in both rooms when they died. Basically, you'll be able to kill both of those bosses here right at the very start. Very important, though, is that 2 different people kill the 2 different bosses, because you'll notice here, when I kill Agrios here, that I will get one of the temporalities. If I were to kill both of the bosses, you cannot have 2 temporalities, so basically you would lose that temporality, and I'm assuming that you could maybe go back in the room that was needed, step on the plate to get the temporality to be able to like break the crystals at some point. I don't know that for sure, but I would assume that would be how that works. But to make it really easy and make it really simple, just have 2 different people kill the 2 different mini bosses, so that they get 2 different temporalities, and then again you'll be able to break the 2 crystals that correspond to those 2 temporalities, which is basically the 2 portals that you went in before. You may need to, again, if you don't remember which one's which, literally just look at the crystal, see if you get the message that you need. If you don't, move to the next crystal until you find it. Now, one thing I will note is, again, because I am part of the first banishment, and again, I was not super comfortable on like getting, you know, the angle super duper fast. I just said screw it and basically went and got rid of my banishment first. Again, I still have the temporality, I didn't break my crystal, which is totally fine. You know, you can just go ahead. If you're the first banishment, or if you get banished, don't worry about doing the crystal. Get yourself alive and safe first. So we go, same exact thing we've done a bajillion times. Go in the portal, just just get out. You're literally just coming in here to get rid of your banishment. That is the literal only reason you're coming in here. So you come in, kill the Cyclops, come out. And then again, at that point, I will go back to looking for the crystal that I need to break, which I think, did I get it here? Yeah, it's this one, I think. Or is that my teammates? Hold on. Eventually we'll get the angle. There we go. Yes, again, like you see, like, I'm looking at it from down here. It doesn't show me the message. I look at it from like down here is really bad. Here is like a little better, but I think the tree is kind of in the way. And I go to the top, and then I finally see the message. Like, it's very finicky. And then again, just make sure that one of your teammates goes ahead and shoots the center. I was trying to shoot it, but I can't break it. I can only break the outside. But both 2 people do that for the 2 crystals. The third one, again, we'll skip ahead, will be done through the same way we've done the first 2, where we got to figure out where the crystal is pointing to the portal. We go in that portal, we do mechanics. Now, this is the final mechanic, which is the Wyvern room. Again, just like the other 2 rooms, as soon as you come in, kill the Cyclops in the back of the room, kill the Imp in the back of the room, so that the people outside can start working on killing the Wyvern and dunking the Chronon, so that you can actually start doing the mechanics. Again, until they dunk all the 4 Chronons of the correct color and shoot the diamond, mechanics cannot be done in the mini-boss rooms. That is true for all 3 rounds. Now, I would recommend, and you'll see here, and I'll probably skip ahead in a second because I throw pretty hard, I would recommend trying to get back to the other side of the room here, like where we're kind of like, because we're downhill, trying to go back kind of to the uphill side would be preferred. Also note, if the Imp respawns, you can kill it again for more Chronons. If for whatever reason they need more Chronons outside, it will spawn a new Wyvern. If they don't need more Chronons, I'd recommend not killing it though, because that's just an extra Wyvern. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to skip ahead because I throw. But basically, you're looking for 2 boxes. Like once they get the 4 Chronons dunked and they shoot the diamond, there will be 2 boxes somewhere in the room. Also note, make sure that you get the plate buff. If you do die, you do lose it. I'm pretty sure I had it before, but plate. Jump on the plate, you're going to get the temporality. Make sure both people that are doing the mechanics do this. We also had a 3rd person come in for this specific one just to kind of help add clear. You can do that if you'd like. I think it was helpful, especially kind of never seeing this room before. But again, the way we did this, which could be probably done more organized, is literally find the 2 boxes, make sure both people know who's going to shoot what. We kind of just like stood near which box we were going to shoot, and then just like normal Wyvern, on 4, one with the diastole or diaslate or whatever it's called, on the 4th beat, you shoot the box. And if both people do that, you get Iatros loses control of phase space, just like normal Wyvern. Now, do note that the boxes will throw out like the little tracking, whatever this is called, where you get trapped. So technically, it's probably better to shoot these from far away. But again, I just wanted to not mess up at this point. So I was like, screw it, I'm just going to stand right here. You can shoot yourself out of them. It's really not that dangerous anyway, so I just didn't care. But first set of boxes, done. Now, again, 2 more boxes are going to spawn. So you're going to find the 2 boxes, make sure both people know who's going to shoot what, make sure both people are ready. And then, again, when you're ready, on the 4th beat, on the 4th buff of diastole, shoot box. Second ones are done. Again, spawns more of the little duders. If you get detained, just shoot yourself out. Again, and then you're going to do it a 3rd time. And then that's it. Literally the same thing. We're going to do it a 3rd time, find the 2 boxes, shoot on the 4th beat, boom. And then if you do that all correctly, the Wyvern in the middle will be damageable that you need to kill. And again, same exact thing we've done a million times. Once you've killed him, you get the undoing of that boss, so Iatros this time, and then you can leave through the portal as long as you've killed your Cyclops and the outside people have killed theirs. Now this time, again, you'll notice our world land stability is pretty low. Again, this is mostly because I threw pretty hard on this round and had never been in that room before. However, this round, being on the 3rd round, this really doesn't matter. As long as you get to breaking this final crystal before this ends, you'll be fine. So again, come out the portal. Anybody with cyclical temporality, so technically either person from this room, because they're both going to have cyclical temporality, can go ahead and look at this final crystal to shatter the outside. So we're kind of both looking for it. Whoever gets it first, shatter. Somebody else shoots it, boom. And then, again, this time, Koregos is going to flee. You see, Koregos flees its mechanism failure on the third round, so you're not doing damage right away this time. You lose the world line temporality thing. You're not doing damage right away. Instead, you're going to need to go over to one of the sides of the map, which I believe was by the white, the white alignment box thing. Which, yeah, over on this side, you see me kind of going all the way around the map, but right just behind where the white alignment lantern is going to be your damage phase for this third round. It's going to be a completely different damage phase. So when you get here, you're going to notice that there's going to be 3 plates, and you're going to want to have 3 people step on those plates, 1 person for each plate. Now, what we did, there's a couple different ways, but what we did is we just had everybody group up in middle once we got those buffs. Again, I believe it's all absolute temporality for this, all 3 people. But basically, group in middle, shoot them. That's it. Super simple. Now, a couple times during damage phase, I believe up to 3 times, there's going to be, just like what we've done a million times, these crystals spawning right here, right? So I'm looking around because, again, never first time I'm here. But crystal right in front of us, and again, any of the people with the temporality buffs can go ahead and look at it and shatter it, just like we've done a million times. And then anybody else without temporality will need to shoot the inside of it to shatter it. And that's going to allow you to extend your damage phase. If you don't do that, the damage phase will end immediately, you know, if you don't break it fast enough. So boom, shot the outside, or broke the outside, shot the inside, it goes away, boss is still damageable, we keep shooting him. Again, that'll happen again after maybe 15-ish seconds. Again, this is for, I had no idea like how long it was going to take, so I was just kind of looking around, kind of, okay, when's it coming? Then finally spawns in, same idea, boom, somebody breaks outside, somebody shoots inside. Now notice, first of all, that you can get these little like tracking little dudes, so you know, shoot those if they're coming. But also notice when you break the crystal fully, that the temporality may change people. So it's really important, both for the people that have temporality, that they're paying attention, and if they lose their temporality, to call that out, and the people that do not have temporality, paying attention to call out that they do have, that, you know, they've gotten it, you know, from somebody else, basically. Again, like, is that call out required? No, but like calling it out just helps other people. You know, if somebody's not paying attention to that, it's like, oh man, I got it, or oh man, I lost it, right? So because if they, you know, if they think they don't have it or they think they do have it, they may not be looking for the crystals, whatever. Just more call outs, simple call outs like that are better than not. But again, here you want to just use everything you got. I'm running pretty low on everything, just throwing my turret out and shooting special, and I'm just like, what am I doing? I don't know. But basically, eventually here, either A, you're going to hit the final stand mark, like we do here in a second, or B, the damage phase will end. Either way, it does not matter. You don't have to hit the final stand mark here, but if you do, the damage phase will end immediately, no matter what. You can see this third crystal. We could have had more time for damage if we needed it, but we just didn't need it. We hit the final stand mark, so we will get teleported away again back at the raid flag for the final phase. Technically phase 4, but you know, the 5th phase, but phase 4. Kind of the way I'm calling it because of, you know, phase 0 being a thing. Now, one thing I'll note is I did, like, if you didn't already notice, I do have 2 different damage loadouts. For the first 2 short phases, I was using Parasite. For the long phase and for Final Stand, I'm using Finality's Augur. So maybe worth doing. Again, doesn't matter because you get a raid flag like 4 times. You can do that. You know, you can switch different to different weapons for the different phases. But anyways, for this final phase, you're going to see just a singular harpy in the center of the room. And you're going to want to basically kind of line up behind him from where you come from the raid flag, so that when you kill him, you can go ahead and walk through the portal. Now, very careful. You do want to make sure you walk through, because you can see here that if you just kind of run through aimlessly and don't think about it, the edge or the ledge kind of ends relatively quickly. So you want to not go through super duper quick, just so that, you know, you don't fall off. What's going to happen here is you're going to all get banishment as soon as anybody goes through the portal, and you're going to need to get rid of your banishment by activating these oracles. Very important. There's going to be 6 total oracles, and again, there's 6 of you with banishment, so you're going to need to each activate 1 oracle to make sure nobody dies. What we did is we just, before we came in here, we just looked at roster order, and, you know, whoever was, you know, the closest to A name was first. You know, this is the roster order. That was the order we were going to do oracles in. So I believe I was 4, 3. I think it was 3. But basically, first person, we come in, you do the first oracle. Boom. That gets rid of their banishment. You move together. Now, do note, you can see here pretty quickly when we go in, these platforms go away pretty quickly. So you need to be doing this like relatively fast. But it's really not too hard, other than just kind of paying attention to where. I would say this third one is probably the only hard one. So back up just one more time. So first one, walk in, activate Oracle, boom. Second one, it's literally straight in front of you, super easy. Second person activates the second Oracle. The third one is off to the right. So like I didn't know this. I'm just kind of like, where is it? Where is it? Icarus Dash saves me. We love Icarus Dash. Boom. Here's the third one. I was 3. I activate the third one, and you can see as soon as I do my Oracle activation here in a second, you can see me almost fall again. But as soon as I do my Oracle activation, my banishment goes away. So then fourth one, again, right in front of us. Fourth person can do this one. And again, basically from here, fifth one straight ahead, sixth one straight ahead. These are not so bad. Fifth and sixth people can do these as well. Now, do note that if for whatever reason someone falls or something crazy happens, whatever, you can have somebody activate more than one Oracle. It's totally fine. It's just obviously then that one person that doesn't get to activate the Oracle will not get rid of their banishment, so they will eventually die. But also note that below here, like below where we're at, is not actually death. We're in, I believe, the Wyvern room, I believe. I don't know if it like changes based on. It doesn't really matter. But basically, below us is an elevator that will like a shooter elevator that will allow you to get back up with the team. So if you do fall, try to use that and get back up. But if you do fall, just call it out and be like, hey, somebody else get my Oracle. You're going to just need to die. Like when your banishment runs out, it's just not going to be enough time. So you're not dead immediately, but you'll probably be dead eventually, I guess is the way to look at it. But anyways, when we get to this final platform, this is where the final stand will actually happen. Now, 3 people, when we get to this final stand, are going to get absolute temporality, and there's going to be 3 crystals around the room. So you're going to see here in a second, I'm looking at these crystals, and same thing we've done a million times, where we destroy it from the outside, somebody without the temporality shoots it, and we need to do all 3. So again, what we were kind of doing is we were kind of trying to like split up who was doing what. Like, it's like, I'll do left, you do behind us, somebody do right. The crystals will always be in the same spot, kind of like left, right, and behind you. But again, more than one person can do more than one. It's not a problem. But you want to do it relatively quickly. So I did left, I'm looking over to the right, that one's shattered, and then look at this one, kind of miss it for a second, but then we get it, and then we're good to go. I'll get the res, if we needed it from the banishment, and then boom, boss is damageable immediately once those 3 crystals are broken. And now do note that literally you basically take like no damage here. I think the ground is doing like a little bit of damage. But if you have a well, you're totally fine. There's nothing else really happening. Do note though, if you are, let's say we had less damage here, right? Like, because again, going into final stand, you don't necessarily have to be at the final stand marker. You may have less damage done. Or we just didn't do as much damage. You can re-break the crystals, I believe, up to 3 times during this final stand. So the first one you have to do, and then 2 more to extend final stand time. So just keep that in mind. Again, we didn't need to do that here, but if that does happen, pay attention to who has absolute temporality so that they can break the outside crystals. Who doesn't have absolute temporality can shoot the insides, so you can continue doing damage. So basically, as soon as you see the boss go immune, you would just look for that and continue the phase. But assuming you don't need that, or assuming you do and eventually get to this part, this should look very familiar from normal Desert Perpetual, where all you gotta do is jump off to not die to his explosion before the decoherence thingy-mabobber explodes. Otherwise, if you do stay up there, you will die. If you want to meme, sure. If you're doing flawless, you're crazy, but don't do it, or if you're have like 2 seconds left on the light fading or something, don't just get off the platform. But anyways, if you do this and get off the platform, the boss will be dead and you have completed the raid. Last thing, if you do want to get your loot, which is probably wanted by most people, just run forward through the portal and you'll be back outside and you will get your loot there. And that's all for today. I hope this video was helpful, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.